Pearl Abyss are masters of world building. They make every detail matter, even details that are easy to miss. For example, what's so special about this spear? Or what about this building in the abyss? Do you see anything interesting? How about these cats in the desert region? I bet you didn't notice this one. Most of these details matter and help tell the story of Crimson Desert, so for this video, I'm going to cover 23 details you may or may not have missed. And let me tell you, some of these details are really interesting and I haven't seen anyone talk about them yet. So please join me as we once again explore the world of Crimson Desert. Here's how we're going to do this. This video will be broken up into 3 sections. The first section will be about random details here and there that you may or may not have missed. They're not connected to each other, but they're interesting on their own. The second section will be about the Abyss and a couple details that I noticed recently. And finally, the third section, which I believe to be the most interesting, will be about details surrounding the factions of Pywel. With that being said, let's hop right into it. Here we can see the lovely Damien fighting a group of soldiers, but if you look carefully in the background, you will find another group of soldiers patrolling the area. There are 2 things we can get from this. The first is that enemy NPCs are not static to a location and can move around. And second, since the patrol is moving towards us, that means they will be joining us and changing the dynamic of the fight a little bit. This next one is a little fun one. It took me a few watches to notice it, so maybe you didn't either, but if you look at the bottom right, there's these little robot guys, and they remind me of the cleaning robots from Starfield, so maybe they're like little Roombas or something, who knows. If you decide to play evil and have a high enough bounty, you'll get this wanted poster of you, and Kliff is terrifying like a werewolf. We already know that Unka uses a hand cannon, but it seems that some of the enemies will have them too. And speaking of Unka, this is for all you orc feet lovers out there. I'm not one of them, but Damien though.
It should have been me, not him! It's not fair!
Sorry about that. Now you've most likely seen these drones flying around Delicia, but did you know that they have a walking form too? I guess they somehow attach to the body and become a different kind of robot. After defeating the bandits in the Elder Tree area, we're awarded with something called the Frostfang Spear. If we pause in the right moments, we can see some really cool flavor text. It reads, "The stricken doth raiseth thine eyes towards the heavens." I really love this flavor text because it shows how much detail Pearl Abyss puts into their games. We also see Kliff using the Frostfang Spear in overview number 2. In this scene where Kliff shoots an arrow to get access to a secret area, we can see the NPCs above him reacting to the arrow being shot. Then when Kliff is inside the secret area, there's this wooden chest that he opens up and it has a peculiar design. In other parts of the overview videos, we see Kliff finding the same chest in 2 other hidden locations. My guess is that these are related somehow, maybe some sort of collectible, or maybe they're just abyssal gear. Now, for this last detail, I think it's actually really interesting. If you look closely when Kliff opens up this book, it reads, "Make sure to like and subscribe and hit the bell icon to get notified for future videos?" Hey, who put this in here? Okay, actually the last detail, and I do actually think it's pretty interesting, is the angel statue that I mentioned in the beginning. The spear that the angel is holding, it actually exists. Later in the overview, Kliff is exploring a ruin and he finds a spear that looks exactly the same. If you recall from the first video, we talked in length about that structure, the one that you see on screen right now. You might be asking yourself, what does this have to do with the Abyss? And don't worry, I'll get to that. But first, a couple viewers mentioned that this location was actually shown in the Gamescom trailer 2 years ago, and that structure is actually called Troll College. This is of course assuming that the name hasn't changed in the last 2 years. Very recently, Digital Foundry released their video on the BlackSpace Engine, and they gave us this beautiful shot of Troll College. I must say that this building is absolutely massive, and it's twice the size that I imagined. When I was doing research for this video, I took a look at the screenshot on the Crimson Desert website, and the next screenshot was this sky island. Putting them side by side, you can see that the architecture is oddly similar. So I got to thinking, does the Troll College have ties to the Abyss? And I think I found something interesting. In the scene where the Troll College members are being attacked, I noticed these pipes in the background. And I was pretty sure I've seen these pipes before. And here they are. You can find these pipes, or perhaps ropes, in several Abyss locations. This, in combination with the architecture of Troll College, I think it's safe to say that it has some sort of connection with the Abyss. Now, there is one more location that I think might be connected to the Abyss. The building that you're looking at now is called Providence, and it's in the Abyss. For details on this, go to the 50-minute gameplay video. If you look closely at the window, you'll notice that it has a floral pattern design. In this shot of Demonis, we can see the same floral pattern design on the church. So this makes me wonder if there's some sort of connection between these two buildings. Is it a religious connection, or is it an abyssal connection? We also get a brief glimpse of the church window in this fighting scene. Now you might be asking yourself, how do you know this is the same building? Couldn't it just be another building with a similar design? I'm glad you asked, because that is the subject for part 3. Let's use the church as an example for why symbols are important in this game. We know from Overview 1 that Demonis uses a stag as their coat of arms. Outside the church we see the same coat of arms and also inside the church. Combining that with the design of the windows, we know 100% that this is the same building. If you pay attention to the gameplay videos, you'll be finding these kinds of symbols all over the place, and we can use them to come to some interesting conclusions. When I first watched the gameplay videos, I noticed in the top right there's something called House Celeste, and I was wondering, what is House Celeste? Obviously it's a faction, but what kind of faction? On this map, we can see House Celeste with its associated coat of arms. Now, my lovely viewers, does this symbol remind you of something? Because it should. I will give you 1 second to think about it, and your time's up! Here's what it is. House Celeste and Hernand have the same coat of arms, which means that House Celeste is the faction that rules over Hernand. At this point, you should be thinking, okay, if Hernand is ruled by House Celeste, who rules over Delicia? Who rules over Demonis? Who rules over Pylune? What about the Crimson Desert? And for a little bit of foreshadowing, what about all these other faction symbols that we haven't seen yet? But before we get too crazy, let's slow down a bit and go back to House Celeste. If you go back to the footage that features Hernand, you'll see that the various soldiers and banners throughout the city will have the House Celeste symbol on them. If we go back to the 50-minute gameplay video, you'll see there's this group of soldiers and they have this orange color, and the symbol on the guy's shield is not House Celeste, it's a sun symbol. Their captain, on the other hand, is House Celeste. So what's going on here? This next footage that you're looking at does not come from the official trailers, but rather the Gamescom demo. To avoid spoilers, I'll be using very minimal footage, so don't worry. Unless you really don't want to see anything beyond official sources, skip to this timestamp. If you look at the minimap, you'll notice that this is Calphade territory. And zooming back out, looking on the right, you'll see the soldiers with the sun symbol again. Later in the demo, we see the player inside a tent, and with him is a soldier. According to the subtitles, he's called a Calphadian soldier. We take a look at the overall scene, we'll see that there's both Hernandian soldiers and Calphadian soldiers, which means that they're allies, or at least friendly. One thing I noticed from this demo is that the Calphadian soldiers often talk about a deity named Solomon.
If you're still standing amongst so many dead, Solomon is surely on your side.
In the 50-minute gameplay video, when we save the villagers from the fire, there's priests and nuns that also talk about Solomon a lot.
It's about to collapse!
Great Solomon! Save us!
If you look closely, they also have amulets with the sun symbol on them. The healer that we save later on has the sun symbol too. With all that being said, we can see that Calphade will be a religious faction of sorts. Moving on from Hernan and Calphade, let's talk a little bit about Payloon. Looking at the bottom left, we'll see the symbol for Payloon, and then if we take a look at Kliff's armor, we'll find a very similar symbol on his cloak. What I'm trying to say here is that there's a very big difference between the symbols of Hernan and Calphade compared to the symbols of Payloon. It just shows the cultural differences that we'll be seeing between the different countries. There's still a lot of details to discuss, but I don't want the video to be too long, so I'm going to end it with the last 3 details that I believe to be the most interesting. The character you're looking at right now is called Aliston, and he's from the 15-minute gameplay video. If you look at his cloak, he has this strange pattern on the edges, and it looks like Venn diagrams. In overview number 1, there's this creepy old guy that's giving us a jump scare, and besides the color of his cloak, it's almost identical to Aliston's. My theory is that Aliston used to be part of another group, and that group went crazy evil, except for him. For your next tinfoil hat theory, you're looking at Myrddin, the leader of the Black Bears, which is the faction that attacked the Greymanes in the beginning of the story. He's wearing this necklace that has a snake-like symbol. I've seen this symbol somewhere else. Check this out. There's this one boss that's an absolute unit. If we go back to his jump and pause, you'll find the same symbol on his armor. But hold on, it goes deeper. If you look on the right side of his armor, he has another symbol. Myrddin also has the same symbol. And in overview 1 with this guy that looks like an evil king, he has the same symbol too. So maybe this is some sort of secret cult faction and they're doing some weird stuff with the Abyss and they're hidden in the shadows. Who knows? Anyway, on to the last detail, which I personally found to be the most interesting because it hints at some major factions that they haven't revealed yet. In Black Desert Online, Pearl Abyss used the different regions to categorize the dyes. It's the same here too. Currently, the red Hernandian dye category is selected, and we can see the House Celeste symbol right there. Next to that, we have Demonis, Delicia, Payloon, and 4 more regions that they have not talked about yet. Fortunately, the developers decided to highlight 2 of the other categories that we don't know about. The orange one is called Tomosoan, and my guess this one's in the Crimson Desert. And the yellow one is called Ororin. My guess is that this is the childlike race that we see in Overview 3. Before we conclude the video, I want to give a big thanks to everyone who watched the previous video, because the amount of support was overwhelming and I never imagined so many people enjoying my videos. I'm also thinking about streaming the game when it comes out, so please tell me in the comments would you prefer Twitch or YouTube for live streaming. I'd also like to give a big thanks to the Korean viewers, because there's a lot of you. With that being said, I hope I've shown you that there will be a lot of world building for Crimson Desert, and that keeping an eye out for these small details will be incredibly rewarding. Thanks for exploring Crimson Desert with me, and I hope to see you in the next one.